Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I got a tremendous episode for you today. Today we're going to be looking at Am I the A-hole? Let's get right into it. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex his lack of money is not my issue? I, 36 female, have a daughter Sadie, 12, with my ex-husband John, 39. We got divorced 5 years ago and I have primary custody while he sees her 2 weekends a month. Last year, he got married to Amy, who has sole custody of her kids, 10 and 8 female, from a previous marriage. Amanda is a stay-at-home mom, not for any health reasons or so on. She just doesn't want to work, while John works at a 9 to 5. He makes good money to support them, but not enough to live in luxury. I have a much higher paying job. Since it's just me and Sadie, I make sure she has the best possible life. She goes to a private school. I set her up a college fund, and she has much better things than most kids: phone, clothes, etc. I still manage to raise her to be humble and not take things for granted, and she's one of the hardest working people I know, always making sure to get good grades and keep her room tidy. Well, last few times she came back after a weekend at John's, I noticed that the clothes she was bringing back in her duffel are A, not her size, and B, much cheaper and poorer quality than what I usually buy for her. I asked why that is, and she told me that while she's at her dad's, Amanda takes away her nice clothes and gives them to her kids, while Sadie gets the clothes they buy from Target. I asked if she wanted them back, and she said she doesn't mind sharing since all of her favorite clothes were kept here. The problem came when I went to pick her up last weekend. I had a business meeting and I couldn't drive her over, so Amanda offered to just pick up Sadie from school, which hadn't happened before. When I got there on Sunday, John and Amanda asked me to sit down with them, and when Sadie came to hug me, Amanda sent her to her room quite harshly, saying her punishment wasn't over yet. I was confused because Sadie rarely misbehaves. They sat me down in the kitchen and said it was unfair for Sadie to be going to private school while her kids go to a public one, so they decided that Sadie would be pulled out of private school and put into the same school as the girls. Wow. They also said I should keep up Sadie's punishments because when they told her, she blew up at them, told them it wasn't fair, and yelled that Amanda and her kids weren't even her real family, that all they did was steal. I told them in no uncertain terms to F off. I would not be pulling my child out of a school she likes, away from her friends, because they can't afford it. I told them they could easily make as much money as me if Amanda started working in her field because she has the qualifications and the job market is very good. I told them their money problems are not my issue, and if Sadie's items get stolen again or they try to pull her out of school, I will be taking this to court. They've been blowing up my phone ever since, calling me a selfish a-hole, and after telling the story to a friend, he told me I was rubbing my success in their face. But I still don't feel like I did anything wrong. Still, am I the a-hole? In my opinion, definitely not, but I would say that you do seem to be surrounded by people who would qualify for that description, particularly your ex and his new wife. I mean, they don't seem to be treating Sadie all that well. And I'm a little bit confused even as far as your friend saying that you're rubbing their success in their face. I also don't agree with that. And I would say you're definitely not the a-hole in this situation. Am I the a-hole for kicking my best friend out of my house so my fiance could move in? My best friend Kate, we're both 24 female, and I lived together since we were 20. I'm staying at a house which belongs to me after my grandma passed away and left it to me. I didn't ask Kate to pay me any rent, and she just contributes to house expenses such as bills, etc. I've been with my fiance, 24 male, since we were 19. The first years of us being together, he'd occasionally visit my place, and I'd also go to his place. But after we got more serious, he started spending more time at my place, and he'd usually stay in my room and not bother Kate. Kate didn't have a problem at first, but later she said I needed her permission to bring someone over. I respected her wishes, and whenever she didn't want him over, I just went to my fiance's place. But then she'd make a scene even the few times he'd come over. She'd also make a scene about me leaving to go stay with him and how I'm a tourist at my own house. For the record, I never stopped paying my share of the bills and expenses. One time the water and electricity bills were higher because my fiance would have visited and would have used water to shower and open the AC, heat, etc. I told Kate I'd pay more and she just had to pay her usual share and that she doesn't have to pay any more money at all. But she didn't like that and demanded my fiance pays as well. I told her that's not for her to decide and that's on me and him to figure out. Back when that happened, we weren't even engaged yet. But because I knew the proposal time was near, I started trying to have conversations with Kate about how she should try finding her own house or go live with her parents, because I plan on using this house to live with my partner and start a family here. She didn't believe the proposal would happen soon, and she said she'll look into it when the time comes. I tried to warn her countless times, but she never took me seriously. So then my fiance proposed. That was 4 months ago. Kate was shocked and had a mental breakdown about how she can't live on her own and I should just give her some time. I told her that my fiance plans to move in 3 months and she should go stay with her parents. My fiance moved in a month ago and Kate has made no move of finding a place or going to her parents. My fiance has started paying bills and all in the house, but Kate picks fights with him over household stuff and arrangements all the time. I confronted her and told her that by next week all her things will be packed and she'll be out of my house and she doesn't get to make the rules here and that the house belongs to me in case she forgot. She packed a couple of clothes and left that day, and for the past few days she sent her sister and mom to collect her stuff, and they both claim I've been a shitty friend to Kate and how unacceptable it is that I prioritized housing my fiance over my childhood best friend and just kicking her out like this. Am I the a-hole? Just the fact that you're even asking this question, in my opinion, shows what a great person you are. You've given your friend 4 years of rent-free life living with you. She had the audacity to tell you to ask her for permission if you want to bring people over. And even after you explained to her and gave her ample time, explaining that you're going to, of course, live in your own house with your fiance once you guys are married and raise your kids there, still kicking and screaming. In fact, even her family, her mother and sister, coming to tell you that you've been a shitty friend. I would disagree with that, and in my opinion, definitely not. Definitely not. In fact, I mean, you've been very more than nice and more than fair through all this, and I would say you're definitely not the asshole. Am I the a-hole for calling the police on the neighbors for letting their dog shit on their patio? I have some neighbors, a young couple in their 20s. They've lived in the apartment next to mine for 2 years. They have a dog, a small one. I've always noticed them taking the dog on walks, but for the past 2 months, I just see them putting some pads on their patio and letting the dog shit and pee there. I've made complaints to them multiple times. I've called them lazy and told them to give up the dog if they can't care for it properly. I told them they're going with the easy way of not taking the dog for a walk and just letting him do whatever on the patio. Their argument is that, first of all, they clean up after the patio at least twice a day and that the dog goes on walks every night. The girl also said it's none of my business on why she and her boyfriend don't take the dog on walks, and they don't have to answer to me. The next morning, I called the police/public health services on them. Authorities came and inspected and said no laws are being broken, and as long as the area is being cleaned up daily, then the couple is not breaking any laws. I told them that the couple doesn't take the dog for walks, and the police said that the couple has their reasons for that, and I don't have to know these reasons. Now, my whole apartment building sees me as the bitch who called the police on the couple for that reason. I later found out from another neighbor who confronted me that the reason they let their dog go on the patio is because the girl is pregnant and is on bed rest, and her boyfriend takes the dog out late at night when he comes home from work, and how I was not entitled to that info since they didn't break any laws in the first place, and despite her bed rest, the girl still tries to do her best. Everyone in the building is now hostile against me. Am I the a-hole? In this case, I would say you are definitely the a-hole. I don't know why you had to stick your nose into another couple's business, particularly when not only were they not doing anything specifically to you, but they weren't breaking any laws either. You obviously didn't know the whole story, and I really don't blame the rest of the building for treating you with a little bit less than bright, happy courtesy all the time, especially considering you called the police on someone for such a petty reason without even knowing the full story. So yeah, in this case, I would definitely say you are the a-hole. What do you guys think? Is she the a-hole? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's family my stepkids are not more important than my daughter? I was a widower when I met my wife 4 years ago. She was a divorced mom of 2. I had a daughter also. The 3 girls are 13 and 11, my stepdaughters, and 12, my daughter. My wife's ex was kind of an issue when we met, but it was easy not to expose my daughter to him, so I felt secure in moving forward. My daughter really liked my wife and was excited to maybe have siblings. My stepdaughters were fine with my daughter at first. Of course, they didn't just call her sister magically or treat her the same right away, but they were nice. That all changed within a month of my wife and I getting married 2 years ago. The girl's dad hates my daughter, and they, the girls, will spew that hate in our home and will use it to bully my daughter. A grown ass man called my 10-year-old a fat, repulsive pig, a garden tool, and the reason abortion was invented, to list only a few. The girls have called her dumb. They have mocked her for being shy and introverted. I made it clear that I could not continue if we were to stay married, and my wife was determined she would get them to stop. I got my daughter therapy, and I did as much as I could to keep them separate. But even at night, they started to taunt her. So I made the decision to move out with my daughter, and I told my wife our marriage could not continue. Good. She begged me to stay. She said she loves us, and her girls need me. I said my daughter comes first. Ever since I filed for the divorce, my wife's family has been telling me how much my stepdaughters need me, how badly they need to see a healthy and good father figure in their lives, and that I will destroy them if I leave. How they're important and I need to prioritize them. I told them they are not more important than my daughter. Outrage ensued, and I was asked how I could say that. They said my wife was prioritizing my daughter, and being loved by her should be enough for her to understand her sisters need me to stay in their lives. Am I the a-hole for saying their granddaughters are not special? I told them that isn't what I said, but they say I dismissed 2 young girls and made it sound like they weren't worth fighting for. Am I the a-hole? In my opinion, not only are you not the a-hole, but you're actually, it seems like, the only level-headed person in this whole situation. I mean, I don't really think, even based on your explanation, that you ever tried to make it seem like your daughter was more important than anyone else. But of course, your daughter is definitely equal to her 2 daughters. And the fact that they're abusive towards her, I mean, I think you actually did the right thing. You do kind of have to prioritize your own, especially considering no one else is. So definitely in this situation, I would say you are not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for evicting my roommate after buying the condo we rented together? I live in a small condo around 600 square feet with a roommate, Caitlin. We didn't know each other before moving in. She rents the bigger room and I rent the smaller one. Our landlord told us she wanted to sell the condo, and I jumped in on the opportunity to buy it. She sold it to me almost 15% below market price, so it's great. I already gave her the deposit and we will sign the papers in a few days. Then the condo will be mine 3 months from now. After me giving our landlord the deposit, Caitlin was ecstatic. She brought a champagne to celebrate, told me I'm the best, and she will save so much money from now on by not having to pay rent. I don't know where she got this from, and I thought our landlord already told her how long she has until she has to move out, but it seems not. I told Caitlin that it's a small condo and I don't need a roommate anymore. She will have to move out in 3 months, but I'd gladly help her look for a new place. She flipped out. She asked me if I seriously want to evict her and throw her out onto the street. She said she thought we were friends, and if she had the money to buy the place, she would have let me stay there for free, because that's what decent people do. Then she switched and started bargaining with me that I can have the bigger room and she'll stay in the small room. She won't bother me much, and so on. I feel a bit guilty. I really thought it was a given that she would have to move out. Maybe I should have told Caitlin before giving the deposit to our landlord. I feel sorry for her. I know she doesn't make a lot of money, but at 26, I don't want to live in a small room anymore, especially if I own the condo. Am I the a-hole? Well, again, another situation where I definitely say not only are you not the a-hole, but it does seem like your friend might be a little bit of one. I understand it's obviously going to be a little bit nerve-wracking to have to move maybe at short notice. You still gave her a few months, but yeah, I would say for sure you're not the a-hole. It's more than understandable, and obviously being an adult, 26 years old, she's going to have to make her own arrangements, and if I were you, I'd really try not to feel guilty about it at all. So that brings us to the end of the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment any thoughts that you have, anything that I may have left out, or what are your feelings on some of these situations. Are we dealing with the a-holes, or are the people around them the a-hole? Let us know in the comments, and we will see you on the next one.